the last couple of days, the Federal Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, has been surrounding a 150-acre ranch in Clark County, Nevada, with heavily fortified vehicles, helicopters, and officers armed to the teeth. And no, not because the government's trying to capture a mass murderer or bust a child sex trafficking ring. Instead, the agency is trying to seize cattle. Yes, cows. See, the ranch belongs to 67-year-old Cliven Bundy. And according to the Washington Free Beacon, Bundy is the last rancher in the county and a descendant of ranchers who settled into the vast desert space over 140 years ago. But in 1998, the BLM selected the greater area that this ranch falls in as critical for the desert tortoise population, to thrive, thus causing Bundy to lose his long-standing grazing permit for the land. For the last 2 decades, Cliven has refused to pay the federal government the newly required fees to raise his cattle and has since lost 2 rulings in court that banned him from interfering with potential future cattle roundups. And in 2013, the BLM obtained a federal court order to start removing Bundy's 1,000 cows, which they have hilariously deemed trespass cattle. According to BLM spokesperson Kirsten Cannon, Mr. Bundy has been in trespass on public lands for more than 20 years. She added that Bundy owes the government some $1 million in unpaid grazing fees, although according to Bundy, the amount's closer to $300 grand. So it makes sense then that the same agency that's owed over $1 million could potentially spend 3 times that amount on contractors to round up all the cattle at Bundy's ranch. But logic seems to be BLM's last concern, as the agency has proceeded to storm the ranch and strike teams to take the cattle and surround more than 100 protesters that have gathered to defend Bundy's livelihood. Situation's getting more tense by the minute. Here's one local man explaining what went down yesterday.
This is the road I grew up on. This is the road I grew up on, 1359 Riverside Road, Highway 170, Nevada. And I just saw federal agents throw my aunt on the ground. I saw my cousin get tased 3 times. I saw him pull dogs and sick it on a pregnant woman. Right now, just now, it's happening as we speak. Listen. Because we had a couple questions.
Yes, apparently armed BLM agents have started to attack the protesters by throwing women to the ground and tasing a number of people. They also arrested Bundy's son, who was held overnight in jail. Hundreds of cattle have already been seized, and federal officers are now resorting to killing and burying the adult cows and leaving the motherless calves to die, according to benswan.com. And in addition to this insane show of force, the area is also being surrounded by snipers, making Bundy scared that the situation could escalate quickly into another Ruby Ridge or Waco, Texas. Luckily, Nevada's Governor Brian Sandoval has voiced support for Bundy and publicly condemned the actions of the BLM, saying, quote, "No cow justifies the atmosphere of intimidation which currently exists, nor the limitation on constitutional rights that are sacred to all Nevadans." Indeed. Bundy also has stated that this is a state issue and that the federal government has no jurisdiction over his land or ranching rights. He's calling for the local sheriff to help disarm the federal agents and to de-escalate the situation. So once again, this story exemplifies how far the police state's willing to go in order to force the unwilling to comply. Because while Bundy may have broken the law, a far more important law was broken when the BLM decided to violate human dignity and ignore the rights of civilians.